We are entering a new season. As you know, our annual theme is Infinite Voices of Truth. And the season that we're entering into is the season of my gifts. How is the way that we are each individually, uniquely built a voice of truth that is needed in the world. And right away, as I started thinking about this idea of sharing my gifts as a needed truth, I did what I do, which is I went to Ernest Holmes. And I found all of these quotes that likened sharing your gifts to self-expression, which, you've met me. So you know that naturally the next thing that happens is I'm jamming to Madonna in my head. Express yourself. I didn't work with the band ahead of time for them to be ready to accompany me on that. Expressing ourselves, expressing our gifts, not just honoring them on the inside of ourselves, but allowing ourselves to share them out there. It sounds wonderful, right? It sounds amazing. It sounds terrifying. And if you happen to read the newsletter this week, you may have noticed that as gregarious and open as I appear up here, and really even like on the campus, being the center of attention is not my jam. It's a necessary thing I have to put myself through in order to do the parts of life that are my jam, which include things like writing and speaking and telling my truth or singing my truth. And I haven't ever been able to figure out a way to do that alone in a room by myself. So here I am. It's scary for me. It's been a while since I've told this story, but I went to a high school for the performing arts. And I was a singer and a dancer. And I really, really loved it, except performances. I love the process of doing it. I love rehearsals. I love being in the studio. I love singing in a choir until I'm in front of someone. And my friend Dawn sort of decided like she was over that in my 30s, and she decided, well, you can sing backup for me. She's a power vocalist, and you can sing backup for me. And so here we are at New Vision Center, I don't know, 12 years ago-ish, over there, and Dawn is on the platform, and she is singing, and I am attempting to hide behind that sail. And Larry Hartstein wouldn't let me. I said, they don't need to see me. They're seeing Dawn. They don't need to see me. They're seeing Dawn. And he made me come out where I could be seen. And week by week, bit by bit, Dawn helped me until I was on the platform with her. It took her the better part of a year to get me over there. Why do I tell this story? Because it's completely normal to be freaked out about being your whole self in public out loud. It is natural in this culture to believe that it is scary, and it is possible to get past it. The risks feel epic on the inside of us, don't they? We risk rejection. We risk failing. What if I do this thing I really love and I'm terrible, or people don't like it? I've done that. There were a couple of those opportunities to sing that went not so good. Not so good. And that's okay too. Part of the reason we're so afraid to stand out is because in our culture, we're taught, just keep your head down and you'll be okay. My husband works for a Japanese company, and they have a saying that really points this out. And we've got a slide for it. The nail that sticks up the highest gets hit first. Anybody feel that, like in their soul? I tried to find a picture, like a cartoon of a hammer and a nail going, ah! This is in us because it's programmed in us. And it's this energy that keeps us from owning who we really are and showing up, full-hearted, full chest, full throat. But the world needs who we are, full chest, full heart, full throat. It's okay to be afraid. Just don't let it stop you. And this is why. In addition to all the fun that is to be had by being our full selves, in addition to feeling the true acceptance and love that we get to feel when we are our true selves, there's a spiritual imperative to it. And Ernest Holmes said it like this. We exist literally so God can express. He wrote, self-expression is the keynote of life. Each person exists for the purpose of providing an extension of consciousness through which the universal may work. Spirit can't be known except through us. I'm going to say that again because it's important. Spirit can't be known except through us. You as spirit were built specifically so this piece of consciousness can emerge. And if you don't show up as you, no one else ever will in all of space and time. Breathe that in. We can tend to think that being who we all are all the way, proudly, firmly, strongly who we are, that is showing off. That it's making it about me. Ever hear that one? That it's selfish to be who we are in our life. What if I were to tell you it's selfish not to? That by not being who we are, by not sharing our gifts, whatever they are, we're withholding that good from the world. And we're building into that culture of belief that says, keep your head down. Don't be the highest nail. The highest nail is the highest because it's the longest. It has the most substance to give. Does the world need substance? Does your life need substance? Mine does. It's about a shift in perspective and recognizing that being who we are and sharing our talents and sharing our gifts is a spiritual imperative. It's actually the assignment. It's the assignment that we have shown up here on the planet to be. The way we move into it is the spiritual shift from seeing it as ego-driven to be who we really are, to being spirit-led. And there's a way to tell the difference, because it's possible to be ego-driven. I did it that one time. Maybe you did too that one time. When we are ego-driven, it is about what serves me. And it doesn't matter how it impacts other people. When it is spirit-led, it equally will impact us, but it's about what can I give? How can I serve? What can we build? How can we heal? One is about this, and one is about this. Do you feel the difference? It's okay to be powerful and about yourself. Just make sure those arms also are reaching out and wrapping in and drawing together. When we are who we really are, we build things. We inspire things. We deepen into relationships and opportunities and possibilities. It's a natural flowing force that happens. And we don't have to force it. We don't have to make it happen because it is our spiritual imperative. The universe is built to support it. We are a clearinghouse. Each one of us, individually, are a clearinghouse for divine wisdom. How on earth, literally, is Spirit going to get a great idea, the beautiful solution we just all joined in prayer for? How is it going to get it here except through people? The way we talk about Spirit, the way we talk about God here at the New Vision Center is about this amorphous consciousness that is an engine of yes, right? Does that make sense? It is not a dude or a lady who's going to show up and tell us how to get it done. It moves through us as us. We are a clearinghouse for divine wisdom. Ernest Holmes said it like this: every time one conceives of an idea, that is God expressing itself. It is eternally knowing and eternally known through everyone. Well, then, think back to that thing that you've been hesitating on, sharing, because what if they don't like it? What if it doesn't work? What if they hit my nail? And now think of it. Is it an idea of the divine? What if we don't share that wisdom? What if that divine truth doesn't come through us? How else is it going to show up? I think about this with songwriting sometimes. Dawn, the same friend, Dawn Curlin, often will say songwriting is an act of following divine impetus. Things start showing up on the inside of you. Perhaps you do this. I don't know. You're cleaning your house, and a little chant starts happening. A little chant starts happening in your mind. A little chant starts happening. Mark knows what I mean. A little chant starts happening in your mind, and then you have another part, and then you have another part. You're doing the dishes. They're all getting done. Chant's happening in my mind. Chant's happening in my mind. Perhaps your expression is different. Many of my songs are about my dog. He's the cutest puppy in the whole wide world. Sometimes you're doing your little chant and you're thinking, this would make a good song. How many of you stop and write that song down? Bobby and Mark raise their hands. I think I got one over there. We've got 3 songwriters in the room. How many songs, this is what I wonder, how many times do people not follow what Dawn calls the divine impetus to stop and capture it? How many songs have been lost to humanity because people didn't stop and capture it? How many brilliant ideas never got born? How many world-healing concepts never made it out into the public? Do we want to be the place where God's ideas die? No. We want to be the place where God's ideas are born so powerfully and so beautifully that people talk about them in talks like this 20 years from now. That's what expressing ourselves is about. It feels like it's about ourselves, but it's not. It's about literally everyone. Being who we really are is an act of spiritual rebellion. Think about it. What would it be like if everyone in this community decided to show up fully in their strongest beliefs in peace and power and authenticity and acceptance everywhere we went in the world this week? What might happen? We might startle a couple people. That's okay. They maybe need to be startled. We might wake a couple people up. We might leave a couple people wondering, can life really be like, are these guys for real? Can life really be like that? And here's the amazing thing. Yes, it can. Life can really be about peace and love and spiritual principle and acceptance and making space for everyone. It really can. But to get there, we have to decide to start the ripple and then ride that ripple as far as it will go. How? How, Reverend Lezli, you say? I'm so glad you asked. I got 3 ways. They're not the only 3 ways, but I've got 3 ways to play with. The first one is to actively work to accept what is different when you encounter it. Why? Why is that in there, Reverend Lezli? I'm so glad you asked. I literally saw Robert's head go, huh? What? Spiritual principle tells us that we cannot have anything that we would withhold from another. If we want to show up in our full glory and our gifts and be accepted, the first step is to start accepting things around us that feel different. We do not have to understand or agree with someone or something in order to accept it. Feel into that. We don't need to understand. We don't need to agree in order to allow that person to be who they are. And when we do that, we're telling the universe that we want that same energy. We want to be who we are, full out, and be held in that place of love and acceptance. Step 2, with our sharing of ourselves, be the example. When we are who we are, unapologetically, we give everybody else permission to do the same. Think about the people that you admire. Just let them pop into your mind. They're cowering in corners, aren't they? They're definitely doing what's expected of them and nothing else. Of course not. Who do we admire? We admire the people who shine brightly. When you shine brightly, you are one of those people for someone else. You may never know who. It doesn't matter. Just know it. And finally, look for the good. As you're being who you are, look for the good. Because the good will inevitably ripple out from you to that person who is admiring you, to the people that admire them. When you give your talents, you see organizations thrive and grow. Imagine where we would be if we didn't have Jeff Miller's amazing understanding of money and tax law. Imagine where we would be if Reverend Karen decided, I don't want to be in charge of organizations anymore. I would like to go back to my garden. Imagine where we would be if the Divine Groove decided that they didn't want to risk hitting a wrong note anymore. They weren't going to play for us. In ways teeny tiny and enormous, sharing our gifts ripples out good into the world in a way that changes everything. I know, it's very overwhelming, but we can do it together, buddy. Here's the challenge. Here's the challenge and the invitation. We have a chance to change the world. Imagine if Elvis Presley had decided to let his stage fright stop him, because he was terrified. Imagine if Michael Jordan gave up when he didn't make it onto his high school varsity team. What are you holding on to that will impact one person, 10 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people? The invitation is to find a way this week to start that ripple. So it is. So let's anchor this in with some prayer. How good it is to just open up into that power that is the divine, that is everywhere present, in, through, and as every sentient being, including everyone within the sound of my voice. How good it is to remember that infinite oneness is always listening for our prayers, our thoughts, our impressions, and paving the way forward for that which we claim. And so what I know right now is that Spirit inside each one of us is rising up a bubble of an idea or an impulse or a way of being that we've been holding on to just a little bit more tightly than we ought. And that we are each supported in being who we really are. Who we are is divinely created. And expressing that out into the world in a way that is divinely inspired and divinely supported. I am so grateful to know that the beautiful souls in this community and beyond are held by grace. And that the spiritual power in each one is rising up in a geyser of good. And so I claim it all. I release this word into the action of universal law, knowing that good is done. And we let it be, as we say, and so it is.